Hello everyone, it's Wolfgang Gray with Gray's Horizons. I hope you're doing well. If you like this video, hit like, subscribe, and by all means leave a comment in the comment section. This channel is still new and it really helps. You don't own the gold at Fort Knox, and you won't own the chips in America's new fab either. They'll tell you it's yours, but you'll never touch it. We passed a law in 2022 that sounded patriotic enough to end a debate, the CHIPS Act. $52.7 billion in federal incentives, a new 25% tax credit on chip plants and equipment, big checks, fast approvals, and, crucially, no equity for the people footing the bill, you. They called it bringing chip making home. What it did was bring the line outside the Treasury to the private sector's door. Intel, TSMC, Samsung. The pitch was resilience. The structure was corporate welfare. Public risk, private reward. 3 years on, what did we actually buy? America's share of a global chip manufacturing? The number that matters still lives in the low teens. It was 11 to 12% going in, and even after the ribbon cuttings, we're still roughly there, hoping for 14% by the next decade if everything gets built on time. And about those timelines, Intel's vaunted Ohio Silicon heartland pushed again now to 2030 and 2031. That's not just a delay, that's a different business cycle. TSMC's first Arizona fab has only just begun ramping 4nm chips in 2025, with more advanced lines coming later this decade. Progress, yes. Arrival, not yet. Meanwhile, an independent review found roughly $84 billion of large US manufacturing projects across the IRA and CHIPS universe delayed or paused. That's context. The glossy press releases left out. And the return on investment? The Peterson Institute ran the math. Between construction and permanent jobs, the average subsidy cost clocks in around $185,000 per job year. That's about double the sector's average salary. We're paying premium prices for basic outcomes. Now zoom out. China's capacity continues to expand at double-digit rates. Semi put 2024 fab capacity growth for China around 13%. Taiwan still holds 92% of the world's most advanced logic capacity. That's the choke point, and it isn't ours. So Washington pivots. This year, the administration started floating a new deal. If you take taxpayer money, taxpayers take a stake. Reports point to talks over a non-voting government equity position. Numbers like up to 10% to Intel have been discussed publicly. Not final, but the direction is clear. Subsidies with strings that look like shares. On paper, that sounds like accountability. Finally, return on investment for taxpayers. But in practice, it builds a subsidy forever incentive. When the state is a shareholder, your taxes become the dividend stream. If the company stumbles, the political pressure to protect our investment rises, meaning more money out of the door to defend yesterday's bet. And then there's the tariff wrench. In April, the White House imposed a 10% baseline tariff on most imports, later tweaked and negotiated, while issuing exclusions for semiconductors and certain electronics after industry blowback. Even with these carve-outs, the second-order costs still ripple. Tools, specialty gases, construction inputs, logistics, export access. In a globalized supply chain, you can't exempt a chip and still inflate the cost of making one. So we loop the loop. Subsidy in, tariff out. We pour money into fabs, then raise frictions around the inputs that make them viable. Whatever return on investment the equity model promised gets eaten by the policy web around it. Citizens get to pay twice. Once to build the plant, again in prices, and lost dynamism when policy turns the economy into a maze. Here's the hard truth. If the Treasury ends up owning the stock, you still don't. This is Fort Knox economics, ours in theory, untouchable in practice. We did a version of this before, remember? GM, Fannie, Freddie. The state gets leverage, the public gets distance. The line to the vault never gets shorter. And it gets worse. Call it ownership without ownership. A system where your contribution is mandatory, but your access is not. Where the real equity lives behind signatures, approvals, and security clearances. They call it taxpayer equity. But like Fort Knox, you'll never touch it. It's wealth without sovereignty, ownership without access. And you're still just the renter of your own future. I'll see you in the next one.